team that's unlikely to see buffs. For committing 3 5 stars to this team, limit your options later. You take it for but limit your options a lot. I think overall, Frank's a much better unit than these two. Maybe not. Better than him, at least. To be honest, I still have to wait on my life. Like, overall, I don't think I'll like this. But in terms of the first 5 stars I get, Farina just hates me. That being said, maybe by the time Farina banner comes around, right, we'll get some early information about 6.2 banners, and maybe the 6.2 banners are like rerun as 50 rerun. And then committing to Farina isn't as bad. You know you'll be able to build the whole thing back, right? Like it's not that bad. We have leaks about Durin, Escafie, and Nebula. Interesting. But Farina is valuable to every unit prior to Nalin. It is. Not necessarily. Farina lost a lot of value in Nalin. Most Nalin characters don't like her. And Nalin raises the power level of good teams, which means most good teams right now don't like her. I mean, Bolani doesn't like her, Kanish doesn't really like her. I mean, Chuska can use her, but it's not even the best choice. Malika doesn't like her, Rissa doesn't like her. Pretty much just Skirk. But she's the third most important 5-star to get in the Skirk team. So, third? Yeah. Like, Skirk and Escafie, and then Farina. But, like, there was a reason why I skipped the Skirk banner on this account. I didn't go for Skirk, because I didn't want to make that investment of getting 3 5 stars just to make the team function. And I thought it was better to just go for early con on a character, a future character, which ended up being Flint, right? Like, this C1 Flint plus Eva could be, like, Skirk, Escafie, Farina, but this is just straight up better. It's not that much better, but it is better. Yeah, especially with the Jadewing Spear, exactly. The Jadewing Spear is, like, definitely one of the reasons why I committed to going for Nefa and Flints. If I didn't get Jadewing Spear, I might not have gone for it. I mean, dire need of a 5-star electro DPS that isn't a good thing, but I really don't want Flints, and I don't have Nefa. Well, it sucks to be you, I guess. Put your hands together and pray for a Versa rerun. That has Sonic Showers on it again. Skirk only really wanting crit rate for damage and attack percent, which makes for easier artifact farm. That's not true. It's the other way around, actually. As long as you want more than 1 stat, because if it's only 1 stat, you only have to worry about main stat, and then that's fine. But as soon as you start having to worry about substats, the more good substats exist, the easier it will be for you to get started, because it'll be easier to get an artifact that has more than 1 useful stat on it. The argument, I think, applies to characters that have strict ER requirements that are kind of difficult to reach. But Flynn's ER requirements don't tend to be too hard to get to. Yeah, Gumming, for example, exactly. But I feel like they're never going to make a carry with strict ER requirements again. Precision Onslaught being listed. No way. You say Arlecchino is rated so low. Just in terms of performance, Arlecchino's not that bad, but she's like noticeably worse than some of the alternatives. And you look at a 4-star only Arlecchino team for a new player that doesn't have 4-star cons, it's not really going to be better than just a fucking 4-star only Flynn's team. And then Flynn's will just inherently be better in the long term because you can get enough. But is that least tier listing? How appealing of a first 5-star to get these characters are? Arlecchino has good team. The main reason why Arlecchino's not that appealing as a first 5-star isn't because she won't make your early progression comfortable. It's because the first 5 stars that you can get cost the same amount as the future ones. And going for Arlecchino means that you will eventually have a bench Arlecchino. She's usable in combat where you need 2 power carries and Malika's already busy. Sure, but by the time a new player gets to the point where they have enough characters built that they can tackle content where you'll need 2 pyro carries, Alice will be out and she'll be better than Arlecchino. So I have one of my strongest DPS Arlecchino, should I go for Farina or Nefer? I would definitely go for Nefer. Well, I mean, I say that, but the reality is that, like, it's very possible that your Lama Hyperloop teams will be strong enough to brute force it. Like, maybe you don't need to get Nefer because maybe you can just brute force the content without even getting her just with Lama. But if the main teams you're using right now are a Lama team and an Arlecchino team, getting Farina won't help you very much. Nefer won't unlock anything that can't be done with Lama Hyperloop. I mean, I don't think Lama Hyperloop is going to have a good time against the Hera in next patch's Citadel Onslaught. And Nefer is going to fucking destroy this shit, right? I'm not sure. My first 5-star was Lama, then I got Flint, and I'm going to pull Nefer, and my cook because both of my teams will want Columbina. Well, Nefer Lama with the currently released stuff, right, is already a good team. So you won't be inherently cooked. But if I were you, I probably wouldn't really go for Nefer. I'd probably save. Because like, if you specifically don't have Nefer or Nefer right now, but you have Lama and Flint, I think there's like 2 main possibilities with Columbina. Either, well, I guess 3 main possibilities. Either 1, she's a character that's intended to be a carry in Lunar teams. 2, she's intended to be like just a way better I know in Lunar teams. Or 3, she's kind of like Malika where she can do a bit of both, right? If she's supposed to just straight up be a support, you'll be able to put her in your Flint team and have a just normal Hyperloom team with Mom. But if she's supposed to be a carry and you get Nefer, you'll end up benching Nefer to play Columbina. So I feel like getting Nefer when you're in a situation where you already have both Lama and Flint, it's a little iffy. Like, it's not inherently a bad idea because Columbina could just be a character that just is outright a support. But Lama's teams don't need Nefer to be able to clear stuff generally, and honestly, your Flint's team is the one that needs help a bit more right now. Does it matter that much how Cookie is built in Nefer teams? No, it doesn't. As long as you use stats on her that or doing something, like don't use defense, don't use ER, don't use. Actually, that's it. Don't use defense, don't use ER. Anything else you can fucking make work. Like don't use power and shit like that, obviously as well. But like attack, EM, HP, healing bonus, crit, damage percent, all those kind of work. Just get yourself a 4-piece, and that's kind of all you really care about. So if I have Flynn, Inefa, Llama, and I have characters that can lure fearless, I can go for Shooter. Well, at the end of the day, you can choose who you want to go for, but Llama is just a broken character, and her power level makes it so that even if Nefer is fairly strong, you do not need Nefer to capitalize on Llama's power. Like, rather than thinking of Nefer as a carry that needs Llama for a support, think of Llama as the carry, and Nefer as a driver that's slightly better than Hyperloop for Llama. Is Nefer worth getting? Well, she is an upgrade, but how big of an upgrade is she actually? It's not that big. So, it's up to you. Do you feel like you need the upgrade to your Llama team? Ask yourself that. You can figure it out from there. And it's not that Nefer doesn't have good numbers, it's that Llama's just too broken. How does Nefer compare to Nebula Hyperbloom with Llama? It's basically similar in DPS, but worse AoE. But Nebula Hyperbloom is a fucking 4-cost speed, whereas Nefer Llama is a 2-cost speed. But for a new player, you don't want to try to build a Nebula Hyperbloom. But if you've been playing for a while, you got Nebula and Farina because in Fontaine they were pretty powerful, and you got Raiden, which you've been playing since Inazuma. Getting Nefer might just straight up not even be an upgrade to your Llama team. The content does shield lunar damage, right? So that's not me saying that you'll be able to clear the lunar shield content with these teams. Like, you might still struggle because of how lunar shield it is. But in terms of team DPS and like long-term value, Nefer by herself won't necessarily be an upgrade. How does Nefer?
Motherfucker.
It's kind of weird because like, if your assumptions for Nefer are as optimistic as the GC Sim assumptions for Skirt, you can probably get Nefer team DPS relatively close to that GC Sim Skirt bullshit, like 1-3K stuff. But her personal damage is high, all she needs is a good sub DPS. I heavily disagree with that idea. If you have a character that has really good numbers, they will generally benefit more from buffs than others, not less. So the better a character's numbers are, the less you want sub DPS, and the more you want buffers instead. Now, could there just be a buffer that also has sub DPS? Sure. But in that power budget, with all into the buff, it would probably be better. Just return to the game since 4.2, got Llama, plan on getting Citlali, Malika, Escoffier, Inefa, Columbia. Which artifact domain should I farm? Interesting. That one's kind of difficult, actually. Because if the only Natlan character you're getting is Malika, farming Codex isn't going to feel good. But you still want Cinder City, so you don't want to just strongbox Codex. I'd probably farm Codex until you have a Cinder City with enough ER for your Citlali. And once you do, go to the Nogcry domain and farm that, and start strongboxing Codex. And not equal 180 plus. Okay, I'm gonna be like very, very, very honest with you right now. Okay. With Sid and Onslaught being what it is, the Citlali below 200 ER feels like shit. My account doesn't have the highest ER artifacts on Cinder City, and I feel it. Playing Citlali in Malika teams, where you need the burst, is painful on my account. I have like 180-ish, I think. I have 200 right now, because she's kind of stealing gear from other shit, I think. Yeah, this circlet is like kind of stolen from someone else. ER sense is back, but it's more than ER sense. You also need a good amount of ER on your other pieces. So this is, what, 18 instead of 10, so plus 8. I guess this one would be better. Right. This amount of ER is not even always going to feel good enough. Because you have to swap from Citlali to your carry, which means when you swap to Citlali, you want to be able to use her stuff. So you can't like funnel into her at the start of the rotation. And then on the first rotation, you don't have the burst, you have to wait out catching the particles, which makes you lose buff up time on the rest of your team, because you use those buffs before you swap to Citlali. It just feels so bad. I'd say you absolutely want an ER main stat with pretty much any substat, and at least 3 of your pieces with over 10% ER, other than the ER main stat. Doesn't matter what the main stats are, you just need over, like, ideally, at least 3 ER roll on. Once you have that, I think you're good enough. You go off piece with the highest ER for your last one, and you move to a different domain. Your Cinder City is now good enough, so you can just run box for Codex. Although if you're using Eon San, you also want some attack main stats for her, right? So there's that too, but... Maybe we can do best archetype for each character though. But I'm down for that. So forward melt, forward vape, rev melt, rev vape, freeze, overload, hyper bloom, taser, lunar tar, bloom, lunar bloom. He has a super lunar bloom. Can make a silly section? What do you mean by that? Plunge? Plunge isn't an archetype. Like, Xianyan Plunge is generally just a forward vape or a forward melt team, or maybe a reverse vape team. And then Xiao is like, it's just not a reaction team, right? Yeah, like Xiao is just mono. Okay, here's the thing. I don't really perceive Kanish teams to be burning teams. Like, they're not burning teams, they're just, yeah, they're kind of just like, it's the same for Navia teams. I don't really perceive them to be crystallized teams. Because like, you don't decide on the, like, for the characters on the team based on how well they enable a specific reaction. It's literally just how much damage they do in the team, and you need to have at least one hydro. Same for Skirt. Skirt is a bit different because Skirt actively prevents you from playing characters that are not Cryo or Hydro. Kanish does. Right, it's not like Kanish teams can't use Geo, Cryo, Electro. Hydro's a little sus, but that's easy to make it work too. So like, yeah, maybe we call them gimmick teams, where like, it's not about enabling a reaction and the mechanics of that reaction. It's just about having, like, fulfilling a specific key requirement for one of the characters. Because like, otherwise, like, I'd have to separate all those characters that got hit like that. But I feel like the way their archetypes are designed are very similar to one. In my eyes, Navia and Kanish are very, very similar characters, team building wise. But I guess there's not enough of those teams that we would need to put all in one here. Like, I guess we'd be okay just having Kanish as an archetype and Navia. Because like, those are pretty much the only ones, right? Tosca? I don't know. Yeah, like, Tosca is usually a melter of AP. Nefer. Yeah, honestly, I feel like you could make the argument that Navia, Kanish, and Nefer would all fit in the same archetype, like in a similar archetype building structure. Flynn, I think Flynn's a little different. Because Lunar Tar does a reaction, actually does something that can work with the team building. Lunar Bloom doesn't. But yeah, we can just, we'll just keep it separated then. Okay, are there characters that wouldn't fit into any of these? Or are there categories we need to add? I guess, like, Ella? Ella goes in Hyper Bloom, yeah. I don't know, though. But like, if they made a good physical carry, I guess they wouldn't fit into any of these. Quicken. That's true, forgot about that reaction. So, but is there a single character whose best team is actually Aggravate anymore? No, right? Now that Loma exists? Do you actually think Sling Aggravate is better than Sling Hyperloom with Loma? Fuck no. Sethos, same for Sethos. You gonna make the same argument with Navia? No, I don't think so. Yai? Nah, not really. We'll have Quicken as a whole here, but I don't think a single Electro character is gonna be here. Dendro characters are also better in like the Hyperbloom. But it's kinda cooked, I don't know. Maybe having an actual empty tier is gonna help though. Also, chat, yay or nay, physical teams are just another flavor of mono teams. Nay, yay, yay. I'm seeing more yays. But like, to me, mono isn't like you have a lot of characters of the same element. Mono is a team where reactions don't really dictate team building. Like, reactions and elements don't really dictate team building. Superconduct is kind of important? Not really. Like, Superconduct is kind of like VV, but there are more and more teams that don't use VV. If physical got actual supports, it's very possible that physical, like the best physical teams wouldn't use Superconduct. Superconduct is just one of the options, the same way that like VV is one of the options for Monopyro, right? That's the way I see it, at least. I think we'll leave it at this for now, and we might reevaluate if there are characters that don't fit anywhere. I guess we should have a row for characters where they don't really have a best team, right? Either because they're bad or because they fit in too many teams. Maybe two different rows. But like Hydro MC wouldn't really have a best team in my eyes. It's like no matter what you want to do with Hydro MC, if you want to clear stuff, you're just gonna have to get their ass carried by the rest of the team doing things. Isn't that row just Hyper Bloom? But I think it's very different. A character whose best team is Hyper Bloom because they suck, and a character whose best team is Hyper Bloom because they work well with Hyper Bloom are inherently different in my eyes. Too bad to have a good team, and too versatile to have a best team. And I can't be bothered evaluating all the Travelers individually, so whatever. Maybe we'll get back to Traveler at the end. Jean? Like, there just isn't a team that actually properly takes advantage of what Jean does, right? Sunfire sucks too much. Like, she's both generic and kind of bad. Maybe we need to merge one character, something that like fits both of these. Because like, putting her next to like Hydro MC, for example, would feel wrong. But putting her next to Shilonen would also feel wrong, right? Kind of versatile, kind of bad. Lisa's of a decent Nebidet team, right? But I think it's a little cold. I'm gonna put her here. Amber, yeah, definitely here. Noelle, yeah, Noelle's best team is Mono. Pretty straightforward. You know what, actually? I don't think we need this tier. Jean can be next to Shilonen. Because like, I'm thinking and I'm realizing that like, Noelle's gonna be here, but like, there's another character that'll be there. That's like really good. I don't know, actually. Linny? Yeah, I guess Linny would be here, huh? You know what? No, fuck it. Kenichi and Navia categories are going away. Kenichi and Navia will be in Mono. I think it just makes too much sense. Like, that's how you treat their team building. Maybe we change it from Mono to just, like, flexible team building. I guess. Or, like, reactions or cosmetic. Navia needs reactions, but, like, not really. It doesn't need a specific element to enable the reaction. You just need to have a character on the team that applies an element that can be crystallized. But, like, it's so trivial to get. And honestly, she doesn't even actually need it. She can get 2 3-bullet shots without a single crystallized from her burst. Anyways. Barbara. Nowadays, I'm not sure where I put Barbara. Barbara's a pretty viable unit for Lunar Charge, for Nilo, and for Lunar Bloom. I think I'd lean more towards Nilo. Because in Lunar Bloom and Lunar Charge, the only reason why she's a viable option is because your alternatives suck ass. You can remove Lunar Bloom, Nefer is the same thing as Navia / Kenichi. Yes and no. Navia's team building isn't really warped by the reaction requirement. And honestly, neither is Kenichi's. But Nefer's team building actually is. It's not just having a character on your team that is the right element. It's about that character's elemental application working in a way that allows Nefer's kit to work properly. Which I think is just it's meaningfully different from how Kenichi works, because burning is self-sustaining. I do kind of agree that Kenichi could be separated from Navia. But I don't know. So true. So not true. Anyways, Sucrose. Too versatile to have a best team. Fischl. Does Fischl have a best team right now? I don't think so. I think Fischl's versatile enough to be in this category as well. Or you could argue that she's an overload. But, like, not even necessarily. Yeah, I think we can put her here. And Sucrose kind of just Flint? No. Sucrose is good in Flint's teams, Sucrose is good in Milani teams, Sucrose will actually be pretty decent in Nefer teams. Sucrose is good in... Sucrose is usable in Malika teams. Even if you don't do the, like, Jesus and fun rotation, Sucrose is still very usable in that team. Mona. Mona will be here with Durin. Thoughts? But right now, I think the only team where Mona's actually, like, a good option is probably Skirk. So it'll go here. Or I guess the freeze teams, but... Kea. I'd say right now, most definitely forward melt. Right, like Kea's a viable option for Mawika, he's a viable option for Arlecchino. Gumming, he's okay with Gumming. He's not as good. Diluc, probably just forward melt as well. You could make an argument for Rev Vape too. They're not that far apart. But I would say that the Citali ones are better. Razor. We have to be honest here. I'm sorry, Razor. I'm sorry. Bennett. Yeah, clearly here. Ning. Yeah. Beto. At this point, Beto would actually be, like, pretty solid if her burst was 60 cost, 15 second cooldown as a defensive option in like Flint's teams. Honestly, in Nefer teams too. But the fact that she's 20 second cooldown kind of prevents her from being good with the new units because they all do 4 rotations. Yeah, well, that's true. We can also, if we put her here, she gets to be right next to Ning. Good point. Good say. I guess it's just Hyper Bloom at this point. Like, in 2025, almost 2026, how many people actually use Sharing outside of Milani teams? Most people who don't own Malika. I guess that's fair. He can be here. Chongyun, Singto. At this point, definitely Hyper Bloom. Chi-Chi, Venti. I think you can go next to Jade, honestly, so I think he's fine in this category. Klee. I'd say Klee's probably here. Forward Vape with Farina. Klee Farina is not a forward Vape team, though. Please put Ning in Mono, that's like her only team, even if it's bad. The reason why I don't want to put Ning as Mono is because I think if the gap between your character's best team and their intended role and your character's best team, if you just don't swap to them and play a 3-unit team, is like incredibly large, it's hard for me to say that their best team is actually their best team, right? Like the gap between playing Ning Carry and playing like Ning Hyper Bloom or Ning Mawika is like double the DPS. Like more than that at this point. So like, say applies to Noelle and Klee, but like that's the thing. The gap just isn't nearly as big. Because considering Hyper Bloom that much better than Razor that you put them in separate tiers. The thing with considering Hyper Bloom is you get to actually swap out. With Razor you can't. Which means you got really shit uptime on your supports. I'd say it is, yeah. Child. Don't show this to Brave Surkanara shot. Diona, definitely forward melt. Zhongli, versatile. Chenyan, tragic character. Albedo. The thing about Albedo is like, his intended role is incredibly versatile by default. Which means that like Albedo wheelchair isn't really wheelchair, it's just Albedo in his intended role. So I kind of feel like he belongs here, if that makes sense. Also, fine, Pat, you convinced me. We'll put Beto in Razor. There you go. Fine. Fine. Ganyu! Ganyu's tail is a tragic one. Early on, Ganyu's best team was Freeze because Venti was really good. Then the game changed, and Venti became worse. And then her best team became Melt. And then Escoffier came out, and now her best team is Freeze just because Escoffier is too good. Chow. Reactions are cosmetic. Chow. Vape. Be pretty straightforward. You could make an argument that Hu Chao's best team is Molani. Like, I think that's not that far-fetched, but I won't be accepting that today. Rosaria, pretty straightforward forward melt, yeah. Are we even gonna have anyone in reverse melt chat? Now that I think about it, probably not, right? Reverse melt is dead, yeah. It's gonna be killed reverse melt. Yanfei. Okay, chat. Will you guys get mad at me if I say that Villa's best team is forward melt plunge? It's so much better than her physical teams, man. But like people that actually like her won't play those teams, right? See, that's the thing. People that like Villa actually will play forward melt. I feel like unironically, people that really like her but still want to play her in a team that doesn't feel like shit to play probably just play her in physical, but would be this. Like, Villa plunge isn't that bad. It's not great, but it's not a completely dog shit team, you know? Actually, we could get away with this. Sure. Kazuha probably goes super versatile. Ayaka definitely freeze. Yoimiya. Okay, there was something that was really funny about Yoimiya. Something that made me laugh a lot. Right? When you looked at the best C0 Yoimiya sims that didn't use Mawika, right? It's this one, and it's a 73.15k. Oh, they actually changed it. The sim used to have attack sense, and then when you swapped it to EM sense, it was better. Because just straight up normal overload reaction damage was better than Yoimiya's actual damage. That's how bad she is. Just building for the overload reaction is just better than building for her kit. Whole character getting parked by reaction buffs. Sayu, I guess he goes the same as me.
No.
That's what it is. Raiden, most definitely Hyper Bloom. Sarah probably goes in overload. Right? Like she's not bad with Divine, for example. She's not bad with Versa either. Kokomi. I think right now Kokomi pretty comfortably in Nilo teams for her best stuff. Yeah, and that's like without looking at the fact that she's single target, without looking at the fact that her attacks can easily miss. Like,
Just need a high number.
She's not that good. Alloy. Yeah, what goes here. Toma. Maybe we should have a Burgeon thing for Toma, but like, I don't know. Is Toma's best team even Burgeon? I guess. Yeah, Toma, I guess we do want Burgeon. Fine. Ito. Reactions are cosmetic. Goro. I'm gonna be honest, Goro's not really a good character anymore. Shiloden just fucking killed him. I don't know how to freeze. Jinjin. No. Yai. And I don't know where I'd put Yai. I guess it probably is overload teams. But what about 1 Yai in Lunar Bloom? That's not bad. Nah, we'll put her in overload. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Ayato actually goes here. The reality is that as much as Ayato gets made to be kind of dog shit, his nature as a Hydro carry that has pretty solid Hydro application makes him pretty reasonable of a choice in pretty much every archetype that slots in Hydro. It's like, he's a wheelchair collector. Like, yeah. Yulon. Hyper Bloom. The thing is, she's not that great in Hyper Bloom. And she's actually pretty good in like freeze teams. She's acceptable in vape teams. I think we can put her here, right? Because like with Singto, he's noticeably better than Yulon for Hyper Bloom, and he's also worse than Yulon for the other archetypes, right? So like it makes sense to put him here. I don't think it makes sense for Yulon. Kuki. Bro, I'm gonna be honest. Never might make Kuki go here. Lens 2, fuck. Because Kuki's competing with Inefa on his Lens team. He's competing with Nahida on a Nefer team, and Nahida sucks. Is that not the case with Raiden? Raiden is better than Kuki in Hyperloom and worse than Kuki in Nefer. So I don't think so, no. How is Kuki good with Nefer? Because no one is good with Nefer as last spawn, right? You got Nefer, Llama, Hydro, but your last spawn is just so fucking, like, your good options are like Nahida is barely better than DPS neutral because while she does get a nice buff, her burst animation is real fucking long. And as it turns out, just having Quicken on the team, because Nefer builds fully at red, is a nice little amount of damage, right? Like, Kuki, Swords, Marinade, yeah. If we remove the spread, right, we lose about 5k DPS. So you get about 5k DPS from Kuki. Why not Fischl? Because the personal damage you get from Fischl or from Kuki is basically the same, but Kuki gives you healing. Like, Fischl is slightly different, right? Also, this is like kind of, like, it's half fake, because 50.5 second rotations aren't sustainable. You can only do like 2 or 3 of those before you start having to wait for every single cooldown. But it's not entirely fake either, honestly. But anyways, the Fischl with Chainbreaker is like about 5k DPS ahead of Kuki. But that's like 4% of these team's power. And it's a team that doesn't have any sustain versus a team that has okay healing, right? What about Yai? The reason why Fischl and Kuki are like pretty viable in this slot is because they give you a little bit of buff to your Nefer, but more importantly, you don't have to do a 5-star burst animation, so they don't require more than 1 second of field time. right? You swap to them, you use their skill, and then you swap out immediately. If you do that with Yai, and you do 3 E's, it kind of sucks ass because her skill animation is long. So it's just outright worse. But if you do 1 E, it's better than if you do 3 E's, and it's actually about as good as Kuki. But you don't have the healing, so it's just worse. Because like you need to realize, you need to understand in Nefer teams, right? You're hyper buffing Nefer and you have like no buffs to your Electro. So your Electro, pretty much no matter who it is, won't do any fucking damage. Right, like Fischl is at like 7k, right? Fischl Chainbreaker, 7k personal DPS. It's not very good, right? 3 EI, I don't remember if I have an actual weapon for her implemented. Widsith, yeah. 3 EI's personal damage is pretty similar, but you have to do the 3 E's. And that slows down your rotation by a lot. And if you burst, it's even worse. You're gonna talk about sub 18 second rotations breaking after a minute. Yeah, but the thing about that is like, in practice, that doesn't really happen because if you combine execution error that will increase every rotation by the same amount of time with enemy mechanics that force you to wait, the amount of situations where you will actually end up encountering a practical problem with cooldowns on Nefer on a 16-second rotation just don't actually happen.
Thanks.
Like, it just never actually happens in practice. Anyways, all of this to say, Kuki's actually a pretty reasonable option in Nefer teams, and she's, in my opinion, what people should be going for as their default last slot in Nefer teams over Nahida. Because Nahida, right? Nahida was like, you know, this, and then Kuki at 114, Kuki with Fab Sword at like 190. Yeah. So like, if with Kuki you don't encounter rotation problems from Nefer cooldown, she's just outright better than Nahida. Your best possible option is using Nefa with, I guess you can just do Fab Lance, because it's chill. Did I have no Burst Nefa as well? I think I had it somewhere. Nefa no Burst, yeah. It's even better. But this only works with Ino C2 plus. Without Ino C2, you don't proc the Thundercloud a single time. And if you don't proc the Thundercloud a single time, you don't enable her passive. And she's now a lot worse, right? It was 6 again. Anyways, what I'm getting at is technically the best last slot for Nefer teams is looking to be but it's not by a lot. It's only slightly better than Kuki. So personally, I just recommend Kuki. Or people talking about attack Kuki, because these Electro units do such dog shit damage that the like non-dry DEI resonance that increases your looter damage based on your character's stat is actually almost as, if not more, relevant than the character's actual kit. Right? I think this is attack science Kuki, right? And if we look at minus 46.6, instead HP science Kuki, it's 0.3% worse. EM science Kuki, it's also 0.3% worse. Cody Nefa denied the non-fire resonance. Yeah, but she has enough damage to make up for it. Assuming you have Ino C2. But if you don't, it's kind of cooked. Is that on a C6 Instructor viable in Nefer teams? She can't really proc Instructor. In order to proc Instructor, you need to have a Hydro Aura on the enemy, and in order to get a Hydro Aura on the enemy, you need to stop flying Dendro for a while, and that is not happening. Unless you slow down your rotations by a lot, so it's just ass. What about Double Doctor on Kuki? Damage crit is slightly better than attack, but it's not a big deal. And honestly, like, you can still just go healing build Kuki. It's not a big difference. Like, I'll let me add healing build Kuki. Right? So, Kuki, healing build. So, we lose this. We gain HP healing bonus. We lose this and this. So put that also in the team buff, individual buff. And now if you look at healing build Kuki, right? It's like 1.5% worse than attack damage crit Kuki for the team DPS. It's not a big difference. Is Sucrose better than Kuki? The problem with Sucrose is buff uptime. You can do 2 swap Sucrose, and it's okay on... Right, if you separate your 2 E's on Nefer, it's about as good as, it's a tiny bit better than 1 swap Sucrose. It's whatever, man. So she's not VDing anything, yeah. Like, you're basically either doing low uptime Serenade, because you can't burst every rotation, and your skill doesn't refresh Serenade, or you're doing 2 swap Sucrose, where you extend your rotation and you swap back to her, which is just a little annoying. You swap Deep Foot and Serenade between low and Kuki, yep. You can, as long as you have low sets, you do what you want. Best free play option is Kuki, pretty much, yeah. Just for damage, Sucrose will be a little bit better, but it's not a massive difference. Anyways, Hazo best team. I think he just goes here. He just put him wherever. Nutty. Man, he just doesn't have good teams, man. He just sucks ass. Does Nefer Sig give her the biggest increase in the game? I don't think it's as high as MD Sig. I think the highest one is MD Sig. It's 20%. I don't think it's 20%. Compared to what? I have it 24%. Compared to Black Marrow? Yeah, I have it 24%. Cole. You only really use Cole in Milo teams at this point. Dory Do you use Dory anywhere? I mean, Hyperloom Dory, I guess is still okay, but it kind of died, honestly, because of Llama. Llama being so much better than Nahida really cooked the teams that rely on Farina for like quick bloom stuff. 4 burst flint, shut the fuck up. Sino probably just goes in Hyper Bloom. Candace. This one's difficult. I don't know where I'd put Candace. Probably Milani teams. Nilo's best teams are Nilo teams. You don't know. What a surprise. Nahida. At this point, is Nahida best in slot on any team? Maybe in Nilo teams, I guess. But that's it. Lila. Melt? No. Lila as a melt enabler is like not ideal. Me when I get hit by an enemy, so my skill stops generating particles, so I can't use burst next rotation because I don't have enough energy. Yeah, I guess it's just for freeze. Wanderer. I'm sorry. I can't justify it, man. Farazan. Reactions are cosmetic. Alhaitham. Will you guys be mad if I say that Alhaitham's best team is Hyper Bloom? Put him in Nilo. So true. Yao. Sorry, Yao. You're cooked now. Daya and Milani are each teams, but she feels so bad in both. Maybe this is just because my sag greatsword isn't R5. Like, R5 sag greatsword Daya is probably not that bad in Milani teams. But my sag never procs. This is like R3 and R3. So she feels so fucking bad. I think it's fine to throw her in bait, though. Like, it's okay. And then there's the fact that if you do your Milani stuff too well, you'll hit before Daya's cooldown between hits is over, so you just lose your pyro application. That's pretty funny. Mika. Where do we put Mika? Praise. I'm actually kind of curious. Do people actually use Mika in this turn? Like, people who don't have SW? Like, I see a lot more people using Shala than Mika in Skurf teams. But it might just be because no one wants to build it. Is there a difference between Mika and Dahlia for Skurf teams? Dahlia's a bit stronger, but Mika heals, so if you don't have SW, you can fill the slot. Maybe put him in freeze. Fine. Baidu. I guess Nilo teams. Sure, why not? Nefer? No. Baidu's not good in Nefer teams. Swapping to Baidu in a Nefer team is an ETS loss. You can still put him on your team so you can have a healing button when you want one. But, yeah. Kame. Yeah, sure. Hirara. Does anyone use Hirara in 2025? Quicken is so dead, man. Do for Milani. Really? Interesting. Just because, like, you want to shield her, shielder you have built? Yeah, I don't want to shield her then. I think she can be here, honestly. It is what it is. Okay, Lenny. Reactions are cosmetic. Lynette. Permanent. Nebulette! Oh boy. I think right now Nebulette isn't here. He doesn't go in Hyper Bloom. Because, like, his Hyper Bloom teams are good, but, like, his face teams are good, too. Grizzly. Arena. Charlotte. Navia. Reactions are cosmetic. Shovelers, obviously. Overload. Xianyan. This one's actually difficult. Unironically, I'd say that Xianyan's best team is Marissa. And the Xianyan-Marissa team isn't a taser team, it's a reactions are cosmetic team. His versatility value is as much as DD and healing. I mean, sure, but she's a lot better in teams that care about your punch buff than in teams that don't. Like, technically, this is a good example here. I guess Nahida. Technically, Nahida's versatile too. But the reason why Nahida's here is because Nahida's a lot better in Nilo teams than in other teams right now. Why not just have Sponge as an artifact? Sponge isn't an artifact. But for Marissa team and a Shroud team, that are opposed to play fairly similarly, but they do not play the same way as a Gumming or a Duluth team at all. The team building isn't focused on the same thing either. Gumming, forward mount. Chiori. Reactions are cosmetic. Yeah. Arlecchino. Does Arlecchino have a best team right now? I think she doesn't, honestly. Did she ever? Yeah, she did. Overload was her best team before she Lolly released. But see, Lolly gave her melt options. Or gave her melt teams more options for competition. And then Inefa also gave her big teams more options in competition. Okay. Cloudline's best team right now, I would say, is Overload. Siege Win. Sethos. Boy. ABD. Reactions are cosmetic. Milani. Forward big. The thing with Milani and Freeze things, like, she works there, but, like, I don't know, man. Yeah, I guess I could have Siege Win and Freeze, actually. Sure. Fine. Like, not really. Like, she works with Skirk, but it's just... yeah, I know. I don't want her. You can't make me. Freak you. Kachina. Nice. Inich. Go. Tilonin. Go. Chaska. I think right now, thanks to Inefa, Chaska makes it into this territory now. I think pre-Inefa, I would have said that it was Melt. Now, I think it's a bit closer. Or wrong. Straight up. Overload. Sorry, buddy, but you're allowing to save. Your kid doesn't matter. Oika. Melt. Sidlali. Melt. Lanion. Wasn't versatile. Even Lord Lord bad. Marissa. Overload. Beyonson. Versatile. Escoffier. Freeze. Aoife. Sure, let's put him here. Honestly, I've changed my mind again for Fatal. Go back next to me. Start Freeze, obviously. Dahlia. Race, Inefa, Lunar Charge, Llama. Honestly, goes in versatile, I think. Too many good teams. I know. Honestly, goes in versatile too. I like Flins, Lunar Charge, Nefer, Lunar Bloom. Fuck it. We'll just clear here, man. We don't need the Lunar Bloom. We don't need the Quicken. We don't need the Taser. We don't need the Rebel. There you go. Do people even play her in other teams? Well, the reason why Yeonsong isn't often played outside of Versa or Maoika teams is because everyone who has those characters plays them. It's not because she's not versatile, it's because the characters that she's good with are characters that everyone who has plays. But like, she's very good in forward melt teams, she's very good in overload teams, she's usable in Lunar Charge, and she's pretty good in a lot of the reactions or cosmetic teams, and for Fairy here as well. Why is Lynette versatile? Because pretty much any VV unit can just be slapped onto any team that can use VV. But like, if I want this list to be more like informative, what I should do is I should put this in here, and just remove it.
I wasn't even watching this video. I can't believe I watched this whole thing. It's annoying.
That's fine.
Fuck yeah. Wins. Yo. White.